Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leslie Lopez, and I will be talking about The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton, which is assigned to Group 4. I will be focusing on her biography, First Woman Awarded, Women's Life in the 19th Century, Women's Education, and Women as Authors and Artists. Here we go. The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton, Diana Lopez, Natalie Kahan, Leslie Lopez-Quijada. Team 4, Freshman English 1A, Dr. Sturgeon. Biology. Edith Wharton was born Edith Newbold Jones on January 24, 1862, in New York City. Her parents, George and Lucretia Jones, were descendants of English and Dutch colonists. They made fortunes by banking, shipping, and real estate. Edith was expected to learn the rules and mannerisms and the rituals that were appropriate to her social class. Later she became a celebrity author and because of it was called a rebel, for not following the rules and mannerisms. Edith based her book on research she did in her father's library and classes given by her governess at home and in Europe. In 1885, Edith was 23 years old and married to Ted Robinson Wharton, who was 12 years older than her but maintained the same social background. They lived a relatively comfortable life in New York, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, but slowly Edith became unhappy with her marriage. This caused restlessness and contributed to her depression. She was treated through the 1890s and her condition prevented her to publish her work until she was 36. By 1908, Wharton began an affair with Morton Fullerton, a journalist from the London Times living in Paris. She recorded all the details of their deeply intellectual love in her personal diaries. The affair with Fullerton led to a divorce with Ted Wharton in 1913. Wharton continued writing until the age of 75 in France. She is buried in the American Cemetery in Versailles. Edith Wharton, January 24, 1862, died August 11, 1937. First Woman Awarded. Between 1900 and 1938, Wharton wrote over 40 books, both novels and short story. Widespread public recognition of Wharton's talent began after The House of Mirth was published in 1905. The fictional novel was based on an in-depth exploration of American society. After that, Wharton became increasingly prolific. E.T.M. Frome was published in 1911, and in 1921 she won the Pulitzer Prize for The Age of Innocence, which made scholars and critics consider it to be her best work. Wharton's life changed when World War I began. She also wrote reports for American publications supporting American involvement in the war. After the war, Wharton only returned to the United States once in her lifetime to accept her Pulitzer Prize. She was the first woman awarded. Designed and built her first real home, the Mount, in 1902. Wharton loved France and stayed for the rest of her life there. Women's life. Women in Wharton's century had three main priorities: keep their house clean, their husband happy, and their children healthy. The highest education they got was high school, and if they had a job, they were expected to leave that when they got married. Once they were done with high school, they were expected to get married. At age 18 or so, they were expected to have their first child. Women in the 19th century. The role of a housewife in the 1900s was similar to the ones that we imagine a suburban mother to live like. They cook and clean and run their households. The difference within the two, however, was that these women were taught that their sole purpose in life was to serve the man and his every need, bear his children, and be his doormat if necessary. Women are not seen as anything else but a housemaid. This is why they call them the angels in the house. Those who did not fulfill the expectations were viewed as prostitutes. This is another slide. It shows At the top, it says the good wives, showing them how they're supposed to be. So a housemaker to fulfill their husband needs and their children to keep them healthy. Women education was not necessarily the first thing women thought about being their first priority. Their first priority was their house, husband, and children. Those who battled for success education-wise has a lot of scars because of the fights they had to go through with so many people, not necessarily only men, but women as well. Some women viewed them bad only because they were used to the lifestyle as a diligent homemaker. To this day, women are not treated equally, but thanks to those who stood up for them and showed men that women can be successful and not weak as men thought we were, letting ourselves be run by our emotions, women can go to high school, college, even graduate, and be someone, not only a housemaid. Men in this century took advantage of women's fear. They did not let them succeed in any way possible. They claimed that sports were too tough and work was too hard, even writing or entertainment. Everything besides being an obedient wife and a housemaker was too difficult for a woman. They thought that women led themselves by their emotions and because of it work would be the same thing as in love story or breakup. To those who knew how to read and write could have wrote a beautiful column on the newspaper, book, or story, but because a woman wrote it, it was considered garbage. This is why women, as authors and artists, to put their work out in the world, they hid their names, they published their work under male neutral pen or anonymous.
The political scene depicted in this novel is New York in the late 19th century. The main focus is on the class of high society, i.e. the wealthy people in New York. There are really three main economic opportunities in this novel. The first is the stock market. The stock market is a setting where individuals would invest their money directly by themselves or indirectly with an agent in stocks. This is looked at as a quick way to earn or in many cases lose money. Some examples of this in the book are Lily, who uses a agent to invest her money in the stock market. Also, Lily's father loses his money in the stock market. The next form of economic opportunity seen in the novel is gambling. The characters often engage in gambling as a leisure activity and also as a way of making financial gain. A great quote that illustrates this is, "If one plays at all, one must either play high or be set down as priggish or stingy." But she knew that the gambling passion was upon her, and that in her present surroundings there was small hope of resisting it. And that kind of illustrates how prone to gambling Lily was as a conclusion. She is quite the gambler in all facets of her life, which we're going to discuss. Marriage is also another economic opportunity. The union between couples is seen as an economic acquisition, ensuring one's financial stability. And that is a big theme in the book. Lily is constantly waiting for a better man to come around because this is not just a marriage proposal. This is not just companionship. This is her economic future. Gender relations. There are very distinct roles in this novel and in this time period prescribed to men and to women. Men have patriarchal roles. They are often seen as the leaders of the women around them, whether they be their daughters, their wives, their sisters, or their companions. This is seen throughout the male characters in the book. Men have a lot of influence in how the money is spent and how the money is acquired. Women are often pushed aside into the background, into the sideline role. They are expected to be demure and behave appropriately, not bringing about scandal on themselves. They are also expected to marry and to settle down and have children. Women as revolutionaries. Particularly, we're going to look at how women in this particular novel often curb their predetermined roles and take on a new strength that often seems overpowering their male counterparts. Courtship. When Lily particularly is courted by men such as Selden, she refuses them, showing that she is the one in the relationship with the power. And she does this with various other men. And this kind of is a different approach to gender roles as has been prescribed to her by society. And of course she does find fallout for that, but she does it anyway. Marriage, people marry who they want. They are often seen in marriage as women. She does it anyway. Marriage, people marry who they want. They are often seen in marriage as dominating the men. They often kind of keep their husband's pocketbook amongst them, decide who they're going to.
Starting off with one of the 7 elements of fiction is the plot, which surrounds a 29-year-old woman named Lily Bart who desperately wants to fit in with the wealthy in New York. She wants to have a stable financial position as well as a high social status. Her fierce desire of this causes her to pass on well-suited men for her to marry because she believes she can do better. Later on, this desire first interferes with marrying her real love, Lawrence Selden, because of her blindness to be someone important and fit in with their society. The setting takes place in New York City with the upper class, and it's around the early 1900s. During this time, most women did not have the right to be financially independent nor encouraged to get an education because no matter how rich or how poor, women are always inferior to men. This discouraged Lily to find a good wealthy man suited for her because she was not wealthy and always wanted more. Along with the setting, the point of view is in the third person, and which gives different tone to this novel, and it gives another stance of how the story and the characters are being portrayed, because if it was being told in the first person through Lily Bart, the protagonist, it would have a more sentimental or tragic tone because of her downfalls and of her personal perspective of her story. The main character is Lily Bart. She, again, is an unmarried 29-year-old woman who is eager to fit in with the high-class society of her time. Her two passionate desires are to have a high social status and be financially secure. Her character is somewhat of a romantic because she wants a wealthy man, although she is sincerely attracted to Lawrence Selden, who is not wealthy but is a lawyer by profession. Since he is not wealthy, this diverts Lily from marrying him and hiding her true feelings. Later on through the novel, Lily has a lot of downfalls, usually because of her gambling problems and the rumors about her that she had been having an affair with another married man, which then leads to her remaining family members, specifically of her aunt Peniston, who is wealthy, to outcast her from her own family and others to do the same. The conflict here of the novel would be that Lily cannot be accepted into the rich society, usually because of her personal schemes, which are the gambling, the affair, and the loans. And the symbol here would be the money, which is the recurring symbol throughout the novel. It is used to represent the personal and societal success and true happiness because of the value it is placed in by all social classes. Money would be Lily's ultimate goal, and it's the main reason why she ends up in failure and throughout her downfalls, because she's not marrying for love. She only wants to marry for money because that's the only way a woman can be financially secure. And it also shows her desperation of wanting to fit into a society that is judgmental of her and cannot accept her for her. So she tries to use money as a way or as a means to fit in and be liked by everyone, which can also be a factor to her suicide or accidental death. The themes in the novel would be the social classes, which are what separate and become a hindrance for Lily because she wants to marry someone rich and be accepted into the high class. And here also in the story, the social classes are different societies living under one roof that kind of dictate who is what and what benefits do they have based on what they are. For instance, the high classes have more benefits because they have more money. They have a more lavish lifestyle, and they have more resources because they have money. Here also marriage shows how a woman cannot achieve anything without having a man's help. It also shows that it's an archaic belief that a good and right woman is one who is married because at a young age that is what they are taught and they hope for, like in the fantasies. Love throughout the novel does not seem to fit in with Lily's desire for wealth because she's choosing a material value as her true success and happiness rather than understanding her true feelings. For example, her sincere love she has towards Lawrence. The critical reception of the novel means what the critics and the audience think of the novel. For instance, Hardwick Elizabeth wrote, "The House of Mirth was written while Edith Wharton was still living in New York in 1905, or partly living in New York on Park Avenue when not at the new house in Lenox or in Newport or abroad. The tragic force of this ambitious early novel, early in her career at least, has to do with the broadness of conception, the immediacy of the strokes and scenes, rather than, as was so often later the case, a concentration upon details of manners, such as divorce for a woman. It is interesting that in this novel, one woman who seems to be invited everywhere has been divorced twice." So it's just the opinions and the kind of like analyzation of individuals of the novel and what they have seen is similar to the author's life. This is the continuation of the critical reception, and on the last bullet point, I thought it was interesting what the author, Mary Ross, put as the review for the character of Lily Bart. She put her as just an ordinary girl who wants the lavish things in life, that they were just needs of any girl, which to me kind of shows how we as women are often influenced to think that pretty clothes and flowers are what we are supposed to like in society. She stated, she was as incapable of meanness as of any other form of economy. She only wanted a pretty gown, fresh flowers, a roll of dollars in her pocket for bridge, a pleasing companion, and all doors hospitably open to her. Simple rational needs. The analysis based on course readings, summing it up, I put that women are always going to be inferior to men because men are the breadwinners of the family. They have been given the right to fulfill happiness, to get what they want, and women are, since a young age, they are taught to learn only the things that they're going to do when they get married, which are the chores, the children, and the cooking. And women are also taught to look a certain way, to appear a certain way for society. For instance, this quote in the novel that states, who wants a dingy woman? We are expected to be pretty and well dressed till we drop. And if we can't keep it up alone, we have to go into partnership. In other words, women are like trophy wives for men because of the fact that men are the breadwinners. Women have been influenced and taught to lean on men, to be dependent upon them for them to succeed, for them to be wealthy, for them to have a well life. And because of this, men have been given the most of the power and most of the praise. But also along through this novel, it shows competition through the classes because of Lily's portrayal of the fact that she wants to have wealth, she wants to be well and alive and accepted into a higher position. And for me, the competition is just kind of like to show off to other people who has the better things, who has the most, who has the most expensive things, which kind of for them at their time, I believe it would give them a sense of power and recognition and respect, because they're recognized for what they have. And I believe this became Lily Bart's main hindrance since she was trying to fit into a society that judges every move, every look, that pushes her into gambling and debt, and to appear like she is well off, which later on leads to her downfall and depression. This is our works cited page. We included the 5 sources, the 5 reviews, this is the continuation of the works cited page, which includes the 2 quotes that I stated on the analysis, and the 5 relevant images that are cited. Thank you.
Well, that was our final presentation. It started off with me, Leslie, and then it continues with Natalie, and then it ends with Diana. So hope you enjoy it, and thank you for your time.